Yes, hi everyone. Shall we start? Correct. So we are about to start a new lesson. So when you come to our grade 12 syllabus, which is the insurance lesson, right? So which comes under lesson number 8. Now, already you know some of the facts related to the insurance, right? So let me give you that background. Right. Correct. Now the word insurance, you might have heard before anyway, right? Or at the moment you might have an insurance as well, right? For you, especially something like life insurance, right? මෙන්න මේ insurance කියන එක අපි දැන් දෙකකදී කතා කළා. Right? Let me brief on that. Right? So you know that the commerce, right? Something we talk about, it's the trade. Now the trade is about the buying and selling of a good and services. And the trade plus your business support services, right? Trade plus your business support services, or else we can say auxiliary services. Why? To conduct the trade smoothly, the buying and selling process smoothly, you need to have some sort of supporting services. Now, for example, I would say something like banking, right? So, so when you have the banking facilities, it's easy and it's very convenient for you to conduct your trade activities, right? Correct. So that part you know. And something like communication, I would say, right? Communication. Imagine that when you have to do international trade without having proper communication platform, right? So it takes months to communicate, right? So that's one of the thing. And again, something like transportation. So transport, logistics, warehousing, so everything comes under the business support services. And not only that, guys, we have the insurance as well, right? So insurance comes as a business support service, where this part, right, help this buying and selling process. In a trade, they can smoothly insurance, right? So that's something that we need to understand first. Now, when we talk about the insurance companies, you might remember that in the lesson number 7. Now, do not worry if you have not covered the lesson number 7, right? So, upcoming the next batch, you'll be able to cover up those set of lessons, right? So, the people who studied the lesson number 7 that we discussed, insurance companies comes under the concept of contractual savings institutes, right? So that's something you know about, right? Contractual savings institute. Especially when you come to the life insurance. Dot a bank salary deposit kalla. Ituno deposit kalla එන ගමන් ආපහු salary withdraw කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. සමහරවිට එහෙම කළා දින මුල් කාලේ අර ඉස්සර so once you get the ATM the debit card නේද මුල් දවසට card එකක් ගත්තාම ඉතින් deposit කළා අනිත් පැත්තේ එන ගමන් card එකකින් ගන්න. So something like that. But when you come to a life insurance policy, once you deposit, no, you'd be able to withdraw it back, right? So that's what you mean by this contractual savings institute. So those two factors you already know about insurance. What දැනටමත් insurance ගැන දන්න දෙයක්. Right. Correct. So now the problem arises. Why we need to have the insurance in order to conduct the trade? The business support services where that in order to conduct the trade smoothly, you have these set of business supporting services. If not trade එක lazy. එකෙන් කියන්නේ මේවා මොනවක් නැතුව trade එක කරන්න බෑ කියන එක නෙමෙයි. Trade කරන්න පුළුවන්. So but it's really helpful when you have proper supporting services with you. So now my next question, what is the importance of insurance, or how insurance is going to help to have a smooth trade process? So again, I'm telling you guys, trade can be. So it's about buying and selling. So you buy something, you sell right? So where you have a buyer and seller. Now meet වෙන තැන අපි කිව්වා market එක කියලා. So market in terms of the marketplace and අද වගේ නම් market space වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? හරි එහෙනම් මෙන්න මේ trade process එක කරන්න insurance එකක් ඕනේ as a business support services. Right. Now for example, the support from banking is to do the payments, checks, right? Especially something like international trade, letter of credits, credit cards that we discussed. And also, let me tell you this thing, guys, right? Let me tell you this thing. Now, even you consider about your grade 12 syllabus, even there's a relationship with this one. Now, if you talk about trade is something, your lesson number 11. Anith in okko business support services tamai wage grade 12 lessons wenne. Now, example, insurance is lesson number 8. Banking and money, lesson number 7. Even if you talk about lesson number 9 is communication. It was lesson number 10, transportation, logistics, this stuff. Right? Correct. So you see, right? So even the syllabus structure is about this one, right? Trade plus auxiliary service. So you have separate lessons. Correct. Now coming back to this question, right? So now how the insurance is going to help to have a smooth trade process. In our trade එක smoothly කරගෙන යන්න කොහොමද insurance help වෙන්නේ? Right. Now then guys, we cannot forget about the concept of risk. අපි කියන අවදානමක් තියනවා කියලා නේද? Right. Have we ever faced any risk in our life? Now life is a risk sometimes. We add now risk of COVID-19, right? So risk of maybe earlier something like those due to civil war, right? So there's a risk in the country, right? So that's why. Now we cannot forget the concept of risk. අවදානමක් කියලා risk. Now listen well, guys, right? Now we can say a risk. What do you mean by risk? මොකක්ද ඔයා හිතන risk එකක් කියන්නේ? Right? So we can say the probability of happening something, the damages to some sort of a property or asset, right? The chance of the occurring some damages, the probability. මොනාරි අවාසිදායක දෙයක් වෙන්න තියෙන chance එක. Right? එකෙන් කියන්නේ ඒක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම වෙනවා කියලා. So we say there's a risk. Now, even guys, when you start a business, you might remember from the lesson number 1. So one of the characteristics of a business, having a risk. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම business එකක් start කරොත් එතන risk එකක් තියෙනවා. නේද? එච්චර අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. අපි ගෙදරින් නේද එළියට බහලා පාරේ යනවා කියන්නේ risk එකක් නේ. So driving a vehicle, so walking is a risk, right? So our life it has a risk at every point. So likewise, so when you conduct business, yes, there's a risk. So there's a chance that the damages could occur to your business. Correct. Now the problem is, that risk එකක් කියලා අපිට පුළුවන් ද business නොකර ඉන්න. නේද? දැන් හැමෝම හිතනවා risk එකක් කියලා business කරන්නේ. මම job එකක් කරලා නැත්තම් job එකක් නෙමෙයි business එකක් කරේ නැත්තම් job එකක් කරන්නේ. දැන් හැමෝම මෙහෙම හිතුවොත් නේද? So there will not be any place for us to go and purchase goods and services, because business is a place where they provide, right, goods and services. හැමෝම හිතන්නේ දැන් වගේ ඉන්න town එකේ හැමෝම හිතනවා නෑ business කරන එක risk එකක් කියලා, කවුරුත් business කරන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙනම් නේද? So no place to purchase goods and services. එහෙනම් අපිට මාර self sufficient වගේ economy එකට යන්න වෙනවා. Right? හරි එහෙනම් risk එකක් තිබුණා කියලා example එකක් විදිහට fly කරන එකත් risk එකක්. සමහර අපි දන්නා සාමාන්‍ය plane crashes වෙනවා. හැබැයි වාහන car accident වෙනවා. එහෙම කියලා මිනිස්සු පාරේ යන්න නැති වෙනවද? නැහැ. Right? Plane crash වෙනවා. එහෙම කියලා මිනිස්සු fly කරන්න නැති වෙනවද? නැහැ. So likewise business වලත් risk එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි risk එකක් තිබුණා කියලා අපි business නොකර ඉන්නෙත් නැහැ. Right? Again, right. ඒත් එක්කම අහලා ඇති මේ වගේ දෙයක් නේද? අර කියන්නේ high risk high return කියලා. Right? So the more risks that you take, so the more returns that you can take. Right? So that's just something this. Right. Now guys, when you say the risk is that, so there are things that you can do for the risk. නේද? දැන් risk එකට වාට කරන්න පුළුවන් දේවල් තියෙනවා. මම එකක් කියන්නද? sometimes you can just face the risk, guys. You can just face the risk, right? මොනවාද? ඔයාට අවදානමට මුහුණ දෙනවා. Right? I'll face it anyway. Sitting for an exam may be for a risk for you. You say, I'll just face it, right? I'll just face it, right? So just face it. What else, guys, you can do for the risk, right? Sometimes that you can reduce the risk, right? Reduce the risk, right? Or risk එක අඩු කරනවා කොහොම හරි, right? Risk එක අඩු කරන්න මොනවාරි try එකක් කරනවා. Okay. And something that you can do, the risk, the diversification එකක් කරන්න පුළුවන්, right? So having a diversified business sectors, the example like we did a group of company and not just focus on something like, let's say, tourism. නේද? මොනවාරි company එකක් තිබ්බනම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ business නැත්නම් investments ඔක්කොම තියෙන tourism. එහෙනම් now that a greater risk, right? No tourism income for this, past, months. So the risk, you can diversify the risk. So that's something that you can do, right? Correct. So I'll just clear this since I won't have to have some space. I මම සරලව කියන්නේ නැහැ risk එකට වඩා මොනවද කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. Right? You know that one of the characteristics of a business is a risk. Business එකක් කරන එක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම risk එකක්. So you can face the risk, you can reduce the risk, or I would say you can do a diversification, right? So diversification of the risk diversification. And also you can the reduce කියන එක නම් අපි කියන mitigate කියලා නේද? Mitigate the risk, the same meaning, right? Mitigate. Right. Another thing that you can do, right? Something benefits the business is that for the risk, guys, you can do this part. You can transfer the risk. Risk transfer. මොකක්ද මේ කියන්නේ? ඔයාට පුළුවන් ඔයාගේ risk එක transfer කරන්න වෙන කෙනෙක්ට. Now that that is how the insurance concept came. එනම් example එකක් විදිහට සමහරවිට අපි we just face the risk කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. risk එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා දැනගෙන ඒ වැඩේ කරනවා. Right? So sometimes maybe you reduce the risk. risk එක අඩු කරන්න බලනවා මොනවා හරි. ඒක business capacity එක අඩු කරනවා. නේද? එකපාර ලොකු investment එකක් කරන්නේ නැහැ. Right? And so you reduce the risk. නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා mitigate the risk කියන එක. Right? So again the risk diversification. risk එක diversify කරනවා. So investing the different sectors in the business. And this one is as a risk transfer. In our risk එක වෙන කෙනෙක්ට transfer කරනවා. Right? Correct. හරි. එහෙනම් මේ risk transfer කරන්නේ කවුද? නේද? දැන් transfer කරන කවුරු කෙනෙක් ඉන්න බෑ transfer කරන්න නේද? Right. So this is where the business, guys. So we have the business here. Business here. මේ බලන්න. So we have the business. එහෙනම් මේ business එක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන risk එක they transfer, right, into another party, right? So then that's obviously the insurance company. In African insurance company is a risk taker, risk taker, right? So you have the risk. Another thing that you can do is to transfer the risk. So where you have the business risk, so then you'll be able to transfer the risk to this insurance company. And that was risk. So obviously that's something, a good relief for you, right? What relief right. In the ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. You are not in a position to transfer any type of a risk. What are the hammer risk එකක්ම transfer කරන්න. So there are a set of risks that you can transfer. There are a set of risks that you cannot transfer. Right. එහෙනම් transfer කරන්න පුළුවන් risk තියෙනවා. Transfer කරන්න බැරි risk තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. That is why we risk, in terms of the risk, that we divide into part 2, saying the risk where we can transfer to an insurance company, saying that the insurable risk, අපි කියන එකට insurable risk එකක් කියලා. And there are some risks that you cannot transfer is the non-insurable risk. That risk කියලා insurance company එක හැම risk එකක්ම ඒගොල්ලෝ accept කරන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් මම මේව දෙයක් කිව්වොත් now one of the risk when you come to a business is that the chance of incurring a loss. Once you prepare your financial statements, the financial performance, right, could be maybe it's a net loss, right, due to from the business operation. Yes, we know that that's some kind of a risk, but can you transfer that risk to an insurance company? Now, the business එක loss එකක් ලැබුණොත් නේද, loss එකක් ලැබීම risk එකක්. So you cannot transfer that risk. Why I'm saying that? So then every business will take an insurance policy. So when there's a coverage, when you incur a loss, එහෙම නොත් ඔයාලට business එක ලොකුවට හිතන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඇයි? Profit එක ලැබුණොත් profit එක order, loss එකක් ලැබුණොත් you can transfer that loss to the insurance company, and insurance company will pay you that loss. Now order තියෙන්නේ chill එකේ ඉන්න, right? Order මොනවාද? Profit එකක් ආවත් එකයි, loss උනත් එකයි. Profit උනොත් profit එක එනවා, අනිත් පැත්තේ loss එක company එකෙන් ගෙවන insurance company. So guys, remember the fact that so you need to be careful when you say risk. So you'll be only able to transfer the insurable risk. In my risk within the brackets, I'm gonna write what type of risk that you can transfer is the insurable risk, right? Insurable risk, correct? Right. So then I'll come to you guys what do you mean by those insurable risk and non-insurable risk. There are some characteristics, there are some examples that we can take. Right, now what I want to do is I have already shared the soft copy, guys. I'll make sure that you receive the tunes, right, as much as possible. And can we write our fresh the topic name, insurance lesson number 8. And this is our today's content, right? So we'll see if the time permits. So we'll be able to cover those. And then we'll be able to take these two explanations. So then it's easy for you, right? Correct. So this is something you can take it first right after the content, right? In our dana insurance can business support service එකක්. එන මේ පැත්ත තියෙනවා trade, buying and selling. So insurance help to that process. And then the risk. So what you can do in terms of risk, you can face the risk. Sometimes you have to reduce the risk. Sometimes you have to risk diversification and the risk transfer. So this is where the insurance play, right? So insurance gonna help you. So what type of risk that you can transfer from the business point of view? මෙතන business එකකින් ඔයාලට මොන වගේ risk එකක්ද transfer කරන්න පුළුවන්? Insurable risk, right? So that is up to where we discussed. Can you guys please take this, and I'll allocate some time for you, and then we will discuss how we differentiate in terms of insurable and non-insurable. මේ දෙක කොහොමද අපි වෙන්වෙන්ව හඳුනාගන්නේ? Right, so that's important because you're not in a position to go and apply for risk. This is something non-insurable, right? Right. So guys, try to manage with the soft copy that I shared. So be receiving. So some of you I have already posted some your previous tunes, and please make sure you keep me updated once you receive those. I guess this should be business support services. Yeah, business support services. Again, auxiliary services, right? Yes, business support services. Right. So I'm gonna give you like another 2 minutes. So then I'm going to start the explanation when you come to two types of risk, which is known as the insurable and non-insurable, right? Right, guys. I hope you're done with this. Hari, අපි insurable, non-insurable risk එකට එන්න කලින් අපි tune එක පොඩ්ඩක් complete කරගෙන ඉමු. I'll share, right, what is risk and what you can do with the risk and the concept of insurance. අපි පොඩි definition එකක් දාගමු මොකක්ද risk එක කියලා කියන්නේ. දැන් තමයි දන්නා මොකක්ද risk එකත් ඒක ඔයාලට කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. But let's see, how it's going to explain, right? So I'm gonna share the screen with you guys, and you don't have to write those, right? හැබැයි මේ blanks වල තියෙන එකට මම ලියන්න ඕන එක screen එකේ දාන්න. ඒක විතරක් ලියා ගන්න. So then once you receive the tube, so you can complete the those blanks, right? Correct. Now what they are saying, what is risk? So if the risk is like a small a call that may spark a fire at any moment. අපි ගත්තොත් අපි කියන අර ඇවිලෙන මොනවාද guys this what do you mean by that අපි කිව්වොත් මොන හරි දැල් වෙන අඟුරු නේද ආපහු පත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා අපි අහලා තියෙනවා right? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නිවිලා නැත්නම් ආපහු ඒක ගිනි ගැනීමේ chance එකක් තියෙනවා. So if that risk is there, in අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් insurance is the civilizations the fire extinguisher, right? in අපි කියන අර හරියටම නිවිලා නැති නේද දැල් වෙන අඟුරු තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් මේක ඕන වෙලාවක spark වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? ඉතින් ආයක අපව පිපෙරෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙනම් ඒ වගේ නම් the insurance is like the fire extinguisher where you can control that impact, right? So that's some sort of an example. So the main concept of insurance that is spreading the risk among many, right, is so as all as human existence. So you are trying to spread the risk, or you are trying to transfer the risk to someone else, right? This is something that we can write, guys. So given the space, right? So you have to just write this thing. So I'm gonna share that with you. So please make sure you write it in your book. So then once you receive your tube, so then you can complete that part, right? Correct. Shall we write this? The space of occurring damage which can be estimated financially is known as a risk in insurance. Yes, there's space of occurring the damage to the businesses. Now when there's a fire, right? So it's something the space of occurring. වෙන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් නේද? warehouse එකක් ගිනි ගන්න පුළුවන්, store එකක්. The risk of theft, සොරකමක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපි දකිනවා නේද news වල නේද? බැංකු න්‍යා කරනවා, some sort of things, right? The loss from business, you calculate the net loss, right? So where the total expenses exceed the total income of the company, right? So you are preparing financial statement. So then there's a loss where you can calculate. Or you can pull a last quarter loss, the last year loss, something you can calculate in terms of financially. And the damages that can happen to the business properties, right? So whatever the damages, right, due to flood or maybe some sort of a reasons, right? Correct. Shall we write this, guys? The space of occurring damage which can be estimated financially, the space of occurring, the probability of happening, things could be happen. There's always probability. There's always risk that it could happen, right? But remember, the guys, not the all type of risk that you can transfer, spread it out, right? Or hammer risk එකක්ම වෙනුවෙන් insurance එකක් ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් නැත, right? So that is why they say, okay, we will accept this type of risk. අපිට මෙන්න මේ risk එක නම් ගන්න පුළුවන්, මේක නම් අපිට ගන්න බෑ. So that is how you divide in terms of insurable risk and non-insurable risk. Right, guys, I'm always telling you, I don't have any idea about your writing speed. But ඔයගොල්ලන්ව පේන්නේ නැහැ ලියනවාද ලියලා මගෙදී මොන හරි වට complete කරගන්න බැරි වෙලා මම screen එක අයින් කරොත් definitely drop me a message, right, so I can share it back. So I don't have any idea about your writing skills. නැත්තම් screenshots ගහගෙන ඉන්න තියාගන්න එපා. මොකද ආපහු කෙරෙන්නේ නැහැ නේද? සමහරට ඔක්කොම save කරලා තියෙනවා හරි පස්සේ කරන්න කියලා. But good that you can do like that. But make sure then and there, right? So you complete those, right? So why you take extra risk? Yeah, you are risk correct. So I'm gonna give you like another 1 minute. So then we can come to discuss the insurable and non-insurable risk. Right. Correct. Now guys, something like this. So you have this insurable and non-insurable risks. Now let's say, so when you come to insurable risk, where you can transfer the risk to an insurance company, right? So then we would say something that the risk, right? Can be, you can forecast the risk. Risk right? And again, if you tell something like this, guys, the uncertain, it should be uncertain. That what අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම හිතනවා නම් මොනාරි අපිටම මොනාරි plane එකක් මේ plane එක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම crash වෙනවා. නැත්නම් මේ නැව අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ගිලෙනවා. right? අර සමහරවිට ලංකාවේ නම් එක එකයි කියනවා match එක මොනවාද cricket match එකක් තිබුණේ match එක අනිවාර්යයෙන් දිනනවා. මොනාරි election එකක් නම් මෙයා තමයි අනිවාර්යෙන් දිනනවා. හැබැයි ඒක එහෙම නෙමෙයි, right? So the uncertain should be there. So when you come to insurable risk, වා අනිවාර්යෙන්ම දන්නවා නම් මේ දේ වෙනවා කියලා So the insurance company will not accept it. Why? Then there's no risk, right, in terms of getting those one accepted. So make sure it should be something like uncertain. අනිත් එක තමයි it should be something financially measurable, right? Or මේක financially measure කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. The example like විදිහට for example a car accident, right? So where you can measure it. And by now you might have asked this question when you come to a life insurance නේද? දැන් life එකේදී මොන හරි accident එකක් අපිට වුණොත් එතකොට කොහොමද the value of the human life how you measure? අතනදී ඒක පොඩි exceptional case එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? This is guys something you need to remember. Now when you come to this set of laws and something like this, the point is that there are some exceptional cases, right? දැන් ඕනම rule එකකට law එකකට එකෙක් පොඩි exceptional cases තියෙන පුළුවන්, right? ඒ නිසා දැන් life insurance එකක් අපිට කියන්න බෑ මෙන්න මේ part එකට damage එකක් වුණොත් natural loss එක කියලා. ඒකට market value එකක් නැහැ. Right? So that's something exceptional case, right? එහෙනම් මෙන්න risk can be forecasted. හරි ඔයාලට හිතෙනවා දැන් risk එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක, right? So risk can be forecasted. Uncertainty is there, right? අනිවාර්යෙන් මේක it should be happen in a random way. ඒක randomly වෙනා කිව්වොත් අහම්බෙන් දෙයක් වෙන්න අවශ්‍යයි නේද? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම certain case එකක් නෙමෙයි. Right? So that's something we need to understand. And then it should be something financially measurable. In a loss එක financially measure කරොත් නේද for that insurance company can compensate. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒගොල්ලන් මේක pay කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. Right? But remember there could be exceptional cases, right? Something like the life insurance, how you measure the value of a human life, right? So that's something you cannot do. The verifiable is that, guys, especially you might remember the WH questions. Our English වල පොඩි කාලේ ඉගෙන ගත්තා නේද? WH questions කියලා මොනවාද? So it's like when, how, right, where, it happened. And මොන හරි incident එකක් කවදද උනේ? ඒක verifiable කරගන්න පුළුවන්. කවදද උනේ? ඒක කොහොමද උනේ? right? ඒක කවුද කරේ නේද? Whom, right? Who did that? මේ වගේ. කොහෙද උනේ කියලා you need to be verifiable. අපිට මොන හරි accident එකක්, right? මොන හරි risk එකක් business එකට. So then you need to be verifiable. අපිට car accident, when it happened, right? How it happened. නේ මේගොල්ලෝ අවිල බලන කොහොමද මේක උනේ කියලා. අපිට fire එකක් නේද අනිවාර්යෙන්ම. Right? They analyze the reasons. So likewise, the verifiability is there, right? So something like the risk can be forecast, right? මෙන්න risk එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා අපිට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ කියන්නේ. දැන් නැවක් මූදර දැම්මොත් risk එකක් තියෙනවා. මොනවාද? ඒක මොනවා හරි අර by the attacks from the pirates මොනවාද කියන්නේ මුදු කොල්ලකාරන්ගේ ඒ වගේ chance එකක් තියෙනවා. මොනවා හරි ice කන්දක හැපෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? මේක fire එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ අනිවාර්යයෙන් there's a risk. ඒතර building එකක් ගත්තත් එතන risk එකක් තියෙනවා, right? වාහනයක් පාර දැම්මොත් එතන risk එකක් තියෙනවා. So here the risk can be forecast. And also the uncertainty is there. or අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම දන්නේ නැහැ මේක වෙනවා කියන එක. Should be happen in a random way. And the financial measurable is there because then only the financial company can come up with the this payment thing, right? So if it is not something that you can measure in terms of financially, there's no way that you could go with the insurance agreement. And then the things that I explained with the verifiability. Correct. Guys, now when we come to the non-insurable part, දැන් අපි example එකක් මේක කතා කරමු. හරි අපි ගමු fire එකක් නේද? මොනාරි fire එකක්. warehouse එකේ fire එකක්. right? warehouse fire එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? risk can be forecast. දැන් හිතන්නවා මේ දවස්වල කතා වෙනවානේ V සහල් කියන්නේ නේද? ඔයාලට තියෙන ලොකු V ගබඩාව නේද? ඔයාලා මෝල් හිමියෙක් නේද? මහා පරිමාණ මෝල් හිමියෙක්. හරි. එතකොට හරි වෙන්න fire එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. chance එකක් තියෙනවා. something you can forecast. හරි දෙකින් fire එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපිට මෙහෙම නැත්තම් මොනාරි gas warehouse එකක් කියලා නේ. මේ දවස්වල gas ගැන කතා කරනවානේ gas නැහැ කියලා. chance එකක් තියෙනවා. right? හරි. uncertainty. right? ඔය හරියටම දන්නේ නැහැ ඒක. happen in a random way. දැන් ඔයා business එකේ business වැඩ ඔක්කොම නවත්තලා business එක බහලා දාලා රෑ යද්දි ආපහු උදේට ඔයාලට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම කියන්න බෑ මේ රෑට ෆයි එකක් වෙලා තියෙයි කියලා, right? So uncertainty is there. Financially measurable පුළුවන් නේද? So you come up with මම හිතන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මතකයි අර ඉස්සර මේ if you could remember those incomplete notes කියලා මම හිතන්නේ upcoming ඔයගොල්ලන්ට accounting lessons එකේ incomplete notes එතනදී බලනවා, right? ෆයි එකක් වුණාට පස්සේ කොහොමද stock එක adjust කරන්නේ? You have the records. Now what you can do? So it's metric ton මෙච්චරක් තිබුණා. And then තියෙන මෙච්චරයි. So you can in terms of financial measure. නේද? කිලෝ එකක් කීයද වැඩි කිරීම so the number of quantity. So always there's a market value for those products. So that you can financially measure in terms of the goods that you store, in terms of the building value, right? So whatever the assets මොනාරි වගේ machineries, equipments මේවා තිබ්බනම් මේ ඔක්කොම ඔයාලට පුළුවන් මේක financially measure කරන්න. So imagine a warehouse good fired, so where you can come up with a financial plan and verifiable. Yes, ඔයාලට කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ කවදද මේ ගින්න ඇති උනේ, කොහොමද ඇති උනේ, මොකක්ද reason එක නේද? gas leak එකක්ද, electric leak එකක්ද, right? So whatever the things, and මොන warehouse එකේද කොහොමද මේක උනේ කියන එක. Yes, something verifiable. Right. Now guys, coming to the non-insurable part. Hari අපි non-insurable part එකට. So what you can take, right? Or මෙතන මොනවාද ගන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක. Now remember the fact that I would say the non-insurable something that happens, right, due to some sort of a natural reasons. මේ බලන්න natural reason එකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. අපි example එකක් හිතමු something like depreciation. සාමාන්‍ය අපි දන්න assets depreciate වෙනවා කියලා. So can you take an insurance policy that for an asset, right? අපි කියන asset එකට ගන්න පුළුවන් damages මොනාරි fire එකක් එනම් something like the asset depreciation එකක්, right? So you cannot take an insurance policy to avoid that. So something like due to happen as a natural reason, natural cause එකක්. And also most of the time you've not been able to calculate it, financially. But thawath important characteristic එකක් I would say. Sometimes, right, this based on sometimes the personal, right, personal strengths and capacities. Now let's say something like this. You have an exam, right? හරි අපි දන්නවා exam එකක් මොනාරි exam එකක් fail වුණොත් ඒක risk එකක් තියෙනවා. right? exam එකට face කරොත් මොනවාද වෙන්න පුළුවන්? The probability of occurring, right? Pass or fail. ඔය දෙකම වෙන්න පුළුවන් once you sit for an exam. Right. Now let's say this is something that very important exam when you come to your life. හරි එතකොට ඔයා කරන්න හදනවා මේ you are going to apply for an insurance policy. මොනාරි A level insurance policy කියලා. හරි exam එක fail වුණොත්, right, or if you were unable to get the expected results, so you are going to go for an insurance policy. exam එකට sit කරන්න කලින් ඔයා හදනවා මෙන්න මේ insurance policy එකක් ගන්න. Right? Will they accept that risk? No, guys. It is something depend on your personal strength and the capacities. Right? ඒක ඔයා මත තමයි decide වෙන්නේ. So then what you can do? හරි now ඔයාලට පුළුවන් කෙලින්ම මේ exam එකට face කරන but without any preparation, but you know that for sure there's a insurance policy. If it's a fail not එකයි pass not එකයි. So fail not you will get what you're trying to get. If it is fail, yes, there would be a insurance payment. And same applicable to the business losses. business එකක් loss එකක් වේද profit එකක් වේද කියන එක you cannot insure. හැම business entity එකක්ම will take an insurance policy to cover their net loss. Why you require to have a management, why you require to have the proper the knowledge in terms of doing a business when there's a insurance policy, right? හැම කෙනෙක්ටම පුළුවන් buy නැතුව insurance එකක් අරගෙන business එකක් start කරන්න. Why? When you earn a profit, yes, that will belong to the shareholders or the owners. Then there's a risk that could be paid by the insurance company because you are taking insurance policy. Yes, remember the fact that those things you cannot take an insurance policy. Monother examples, right? So those like business loss, something that decide on your personal strength and the capacity, right? So those things the insurance company will not accept that particular risk. So then they will be going with the insurable risk. So that is the summary that I could provide. The concept of insurance, right, is that the two parties going for an agreement to transfer those risks, right, for a agreed amount. Premium mega here. Now let me explain, right? So I'm gonna remove this part, right, Nithani? Correct. Now guys, listen well this part. Monad insurance එකක් කියන්නේ, yes, you have the business, or it could be sometime an individual. When it comes to something like life insurance, could be individual or a business. හැබැයි මම මෙතන මේක business එකක් කියලා ගන්න. So you have the business. So yes, the business face risk, but what type of risk that you can transfer is the insurable risk, right? Insurable risk එකක් transfer කරනවා කාටද? Insurance company එකට, right? Insurance company. හැබැයි ඒගොල්ලෝ නිකන් මේක accept කරනවද? Nah, right? There's an agreed amount where you have to pay, right? Along with the insurable risk, guys, you have to pay what? You have to pay, you have to make some contributions. අපි මේකට කියනවා a premium. අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන්නේ නැහැ insurance installment එකක් කියලා. The correct word is the insurance premium එකක් pay කරන්න වෙනවා, right? So they'll be getting those premium and they will agree to accept that, right? Especially they'll consider those insurable risks, right? So you'll be paying a premium. So if that the damage or risk happen, there would be a compensation, right? Correct. Now I'll tell you how it's gonna work is that, so in this insurance company, you're not the only customer here. So likewise, there would be a 100 and 1,000 of businesses. They'll be paying the premium. So then it's a kind of the huge fund, right? So they will collect. On the example, guys, the history of insurance. Insurance history it started from the marine insurance. Marine the now සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ trade එකත් එක්ක ඉස්සර කාලේ මේ what do you call these after the industrial revolution ඊට පස්සේ අපි කිව්වා නේද අලුත් රටවල් හොයාගෙන trade වලට මිනිස්සු යද්දි මේ එක නැවක් ඒක කිලුනොත් හරි නැත්නම් මොන හරි දවසකදී attacks මොන හරි pirates හරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතනදී මොනවද වෙන්නේ? There's a greater risk. Why? It's worth a lot. එක නැවක් මොන හරි damage වුණොත් ඒකේ ලොකු loss එකක් තියෙන නිසා ඒ නැව අයිති ඔක්කොම අය මොකද කරේ? මෙතන මේ විදිහට ඒගොල්ලන් ප්‍රීමියම් එකක් pay කරා ඒක company එක. හැබැයි අපි දානවා නැව 100ක් ගියොත් 100ම ගිලෙක නැහැ. right? සමහරට ඒක එකක් දෙකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා අර the total, the pool of risk, so they take this one and then මොනාරි ඉතනින් එක දෙකට damage එකක් වුණොත්, so those funds they can use, right? So that's the total concept. Correct, guys. So with that, okay, we covered what is risk. Now you have an idea. So you have the idea what you can do for the risk and the concept of insurance and also the insurable and not insurable risk, right? So shall we write a definition in terms of the concept of insurance? Insurance කියලා කියන්නේ. Correct. So coming back to your tube, right? The concept of insurance. මොකක්ද හරියටම මේ insurance එක කියලා කියන්නේ. Right, shall everyone take this one? Insurance is an agreement between the එක දෙයක් මට explain කරන්න. Let me give you 1 second. Right, the parties belong to the insurance, right? Correct. Give me 1 minute. I'll explain that, so that will be easy for you, right? හරි, මේ බලන්න එහෙනම් දැන් business එකක් තමයි ගිහිල්ලා මේ risk එක, ඒගොල්ලන් insurable risk එක insure කරන්නේ company එක. අපිට කියන mainly guys there are three parties that we can identify, right? In an insurance agreement එකක අපිට දෙනවා three parties. අපි ඒකට කියන first party. I'm sure that you have heard about the third party. නේද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ අහලා තියෙන third party එක කියන්නේ මොනවද? සාමාන්‍ය vehicle එකක් පාර දාන third party insurance එකක් තියෙනුනේ කියලා අහලා තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් first party, you have the second party mainly and the third party, right? Third party. Always the first party is the insured. If it is a life insurance, you are the insured. Or insured. So let's say you go and obtain an insurance from Selinco Insurance or SoftLogic. So Selinco or the SoftLogic become the insurer and you are the insured, right? And our first party is always the insured, right? Insured එක තමයි අපි first party කියලා ගන්න. එහෙනම් second party එක තමයි insurer. Insurer, that is the company, right? The organization who accept the risk on behalf of you. එහෙනම් third party කියලා කියන්නේ යා insured නෙමෙයි, insurer නෙමෙයි. මේ case එක නිසා නැත්නම් මේ risk එක නිසා මොන හරි මේ party එකක් damage වෙන හැබැයි ඒක first party නෙමෙයි, second party නෙමෙයි. අපිට මොන හරි vehicle එකක් ගිහිල්ලා high ගිහිල්ලා තාප් එක ගන්න, right? එහෙනම් එතනින් එතන property එක ආйти කෙනාට නැත්නම් අපිට කියනවා third party එකක් කියලා. Why? The insured is the driver at this point or including the passengers and also the insured is the company. හැබැයි මේකෙන් damage එකක් වෙලා තියෙනවා insurance එකත් හැරෙන්න. So that's the third party, right? Third party එකක් කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. So those are the parties, yes, when it comes to insurance, right? එහෙනම් මෙතනදී අපිට ඒකත් දැන් අපි කතා කරා insured versus insurer කියන එක. එහෙනම් insured is always the first party, insurer is the second party. එහෙම නැත්නම් වෙන මොන හරි party එකක් තියෙනවා නම් මේ incident එක නිසා impact වෙන, that is comes under the third party, right? So that's something we can say. දැන් අපිට මොන හරි fire එකක් නිසා වාගේ warehouse එක වගේ ඉන්න එහා පැත්තේ තියෙන warehouse එක මොන හරි damage එකක් වෙලා තියෙනවා, right? So then that comes under the third party, right? Guys, so what we can do, shall we take this the definition in terms of the insurance? So insurance is an agreement between an insurer or the company, which means the insurance company, and the insured. Insured කියලා කියන්නේ මේ insurance එක ගන්න යන කෙනා agrees to pay the premium. අමන් කරන premium එකක් pay කරනවා කියලා, right? So that's a premium. And the insurer agrees to pay compensation. or premium එකක් ගෙවනවා, අනිත් පැත්තෙන් ඒගොල්ලෝ agree වෙනවා compensation එකකට. That for the insured face from the insured risk. අර insure කරපු risk එක විතරයි, right? එහෙනම් off fire insurance එකක් අරගෙන අන්තිමට වෙන්නේ warehouse එක නේද? හොරු පනිනවා. හැබැයි ඒක cover වෙන්නේ නැත්තම් ඔයාට ඒකට compensation එකක් ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. So you need to අපි මේ ගැන ඉස්සරහට කතා කරන the principles of insurance, right? So we'll be talking those things, but as an example that I told you, the concept of insured risk, right? So that the insurance risk is there. And one thing for your additional knowledge, guys, insurance is something the world's one of profitable industry. ලෝකේ තියෙන profitable industries කීපයක්. එකක් තමයි mainly pharmaceutical industry. අපි කියන්නේ බෙහෙත්, medicine, right? ඊට පස්සේ insurance industry. ඊට පස්සේ weapons, right? You don't know it එක තමයි අතරම මේ most profitable industries in the world. Insurance මේ top එකේ තියෙනවා. Right? Right, guys, I hope we are done with writing the definition. So I'm going to come back to the board. Right. Remember the fact that for the insurance company, you are not the one and only customer. You are not the one and only client. Maybe they will have a business right? So they'll be paying the premium, guys, right? So not just one, right? In a balloon, which the premiums මේගොල්ලන්ට collect කරගන්න පුළුවන්, right? Maybe later. So they pay all the payments, right? So you can see now everyone has transferred their risk and they'll be paying the premiums. So those are like the business organizations, right? So they'll be paying those premiums. හැබැයි මෙතනින් මෙන්න මේ loss එකක් නැත්තම් incurred වෙන්නේ මෙතනින් එකකට වෙනකොට සමහරට එක්කෙනෙක්ටවත් risk එකක් වෙන්නේ නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එක නැවක්වත් ගිලෙන්න නැති වෙන chances තියෙනක් පුළුවන්. Right? So you all contributed that there would be a fund, right? With a local fund එකක් create වෙනවා. එහෙනම් මේ fund එක තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ invest කරන්නේ, right? So they invest this fund. Correct. So guys, you can take this as well right after the definition, right? So pool of risk is there. So everyone contribute by paying a premium. So then they'll be using that fund money to pay that, compensation as per the insurance agreement. Right. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට පුළුවන් ද පොඩි table එකකට යන්න we'll do a comparison between the insurable risk and non-insurable. And order table එකේ දාලා තියෙන විදිහට ඔයාලා table එකකට යන්නත් පුළුවන් නැත්නම් one by one ලියා ගන්නත් පුළුවන්, right? It's better to go with the table මේ විදිහට ඔයාගේ full page එකම අරගෙන so here you have the insurable risk මේ පැත්තේ තියෙනවා වගේ non-insurable risk එහෙනම් අපි so we'll write some of the characteristics and examples for insurable risk and some of the characteristics for the non-insurable and also a couple of examples. Right? Shall we do like that? Shall we come up with a table? Right. So then shall we first write some of the characteristics that you can identify when you come to the insurable risk and some examples, right? In another insurable නැත්නම් ඔයාලට මොනවද insurance එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් risk තියෙන්නේ කියන එක. Right. So we write one by one when you come to the insurable risk. So here you have the insurable risk. First one, yes, the risk can be forecast, right? Or maybe forecast කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න අවශ්‍යයි. මේම risk එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? This could happen. There's a possibility of, happening like this. The risk that may happen in the future can be calculated in terms of money. Yes, financially you can measure it. Right, in terms of money in the sense financially. එහෙම නැත්නම් කොහොමද ඔයාලා agreement එකට යන්නේ? කොච්චරක්ද value එක? කොච්චර premium? So then you won't be able to decide the premium if you cannot financially measure the risk, right? එහෙනම් අපිට මොනාරි ship එකක් නම් cruise එකක් නම් ඊක value එක measure කරන්න පුළුවන්. So based on that the company will decide the premium. නැත්නම් වා පොඩි ප්‍රීමියම් එකක් ගෙවලා ලොකු risk එකක් cover කරගන්න chance එකක් නැහැ. So the premium is always in line with the risk accepted by the insurer or the company. So that is why you should be able to calculate in terms of the financials, right? And again, the risk should not be certain. Make a certain වෙන්න බෑ. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම දන්නවා නම් මෙහෙම දෙයක් වෙයි කියලා, right? Should not be certain. හැබැයි මේක life insurance එක පැත්තෙන් අපි පොඩ්ඩක් හිතන්න එක දැන්. example අපි දන්නා නේද? ජීවත් වෙන හැමෝම මිය යනවා, right? එතනදී ඒක that is something certain. But that we can still take life insurance policies and apply in there. But all other cases, risk should not be certain. Should not be certain, right? Fly කරන plane එකක්, right? Flight එකක් මොනවා වේද කියලා අපි දන්නේ නැහැ, right? It's always it's not certain, right? It's not certain. Port එකකින් යන නැවක් අනිත් destination එකට යනකම් මොනවා වේද කියන අපි හරියටම දන්නේ නැහැ, right? Should not be, it's not certain, right? So the risk should not be certain. So which means that it happened in a random way, right? Random variable තමයි ඒක හැදෙන්නේ. දැන් පොඩි දවසක ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතක ගන්න එක එක ඔය if you talk about the set of ships නේද මම හිතන්නේ something like the Express Pearl ඊට පස්සේ Evergreen මේ වගේ නේ ships අපි දන්නේ right ඒක certain නෑ right ඒගොල්ලෝ start කරාදී හිතන්නේ නැතුව මෙහෙම දෙයක් වෙයි කියලා so it's not be certain and it should be no connection it should be of no connection I'll explain it means the loss that has happened should not be related to any other insured loss that's I'll explain that so I'll put a star mark on this I'll explain it with an example and this I discussed with you the verifiability the cause for the loss හේතුව මේක කොහෙද උනේ මම කිව්වා WH questions right why this happened how this happened where it happened when it happened so like the cause for the loss the place where it occurred the time and the amount should be analyzed So once we discuss those both insurable and non-insurable, I'll be giving you a list of risks. So then you have to pick whether it's related to insurance or non-insurable, right? So identify the characteristics is important. Maybe in the examination, so giving a short description, giving some sort of incident, and then asking you whether it comes under insurable or non-insurable. So the identification of the risk correctly is important because then only that will decide whether it could be accepted by the insurer. Right? So that's something we need to consider. Right, guys, shall we add another point to this? Uh, the risk should be something like, the legal it should be there. Illegal they have something or insurable risk එකක් ගන්න බෑ company, right? I would say the risk should not be illegal. දැන් මොනාරි නේද? ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාවට හොරෙන් ගෝල්ඩ් ට්‍රේන් යනවා. ඒකට ඔයාලට පුළුවන් ද risk can you take insurance policy for that? හැබැයි එතන risk එකක් තියෙනවා නේද? ඒ වගේ දෙයක්. අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන්. Risk should not be illegal. Risk should not be due to a illegal activity. නේද? අපි ඉතල හදාගන්න, right? The risk should not be due to a illegal activity. The risk should not be due to a illegal activity. The risk should not be due to illegal activity. So please highlight the word illegal activity. That's one of the points. Right, guys. So I'm going to give you another 1 minute to finalize this, and then I'll come back to the board. Right, now let me explain this point. It should be of no connection. It means the loss that has happened should not be related to any other insured loss. හරිද? මේ example එකක් ගමු. vehicle එකක් accident වෙලා ගිනි ගන්නවා. වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? සමහර ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මෙතනදී we need to think the fact that මේ vehicle එකට fire insurance එකකුත් අරගෙන තියෙනවා, accident insurance එකකුත් අරගෙන තියෙනවා. අපි මෙන්න හිතමු something like this, right? right, හැබැයි මේ vehicle එක පාරේ යද්දි අපිට මොනාරි වෙනත් vehicle එකක හැපිලා තමයි accident වෙලා තමයි fire එකක් වෙන්නේ, right? දැන් අනිත් පැත්තේ normal vehicle එකක fire insurance එකක් තිබුණොත් අපි මෙහෙම හිතමු නේද, vehicle එක නවත්තලා තිබ්බි මොනාරි fire එකක් වෙනවා. අපි හිතමු මොනාරි due to මොනාරි protest එකක් හරි මොනාරි you know some sort of a reason, right? මොනාරි නැත්තම් පාක් කළා. මෙතනදී accident and then fire. එතකොට motor vehicle accident cover එක ලැබෙනවා. හැබැයි fire වෙලා තියෙන එතනින් ඔයාලට claim දෙකක් ගැනීමේ chance එකක් නැහැ. So that's why the loss should be without no connections. එහෙනම් මෙතනදී මොනාරි fire එකක් වෙලා නිසා vehicle එක damage එකක් වෙනවා. හැබැයි මෙතන accidental insurance එක cover කරන්න විදියක් නැහැ. right? එහෙනම් there should be only one reason. නැත්නම් මේ loss එක වෙන හේතුව without any connection to other insured losses. Right? So that's something. දැන් අපිට මොනාරි අපිට සරල example එකක් හිතන්න. ඔච්චර හරි warehouse එකක් තියෙනවා. warehouse එකකට හොරු ගන්නලා ඒගොල්ලෝ යද්දි ඒක මොනාරි ගිනි තියලා යන්නේ. ඒ වගේ දෙයක් අපිට right? ඇවිල්ලා CCTV වලින් අපිට පැහැදිලිව තියෙනවා. එනවා warehouse එකට පොරකම් කරලා මොනාරි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අතින් mistakenly මොනාරි වෙලා fire එකකුත් වෙනවා. ඒතකොට එහෙනම් theft insurance and fire. So that's two reasons, right? එහෙනම් එක්කෝ the main cause එක අපි බලන්න ඕනේ. එහෙනම් fire එකක් උනේ මේ theft එක නිසා. So then it's only the theft cover would be good. So something like this, right? So anyway, that's the insurable risk. Shall we write couple of examples? අපිට examples කීපයක් දාගන්න පුළුවන්. As you already know, right? Some of examples for the insurable risk. ඊට පස්සේ අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් මේ characteristics මේකේ තියෙනවාද කියන එක, right? The characteristics that we discussed. Now example like this, right? So catching a fire, right? Yes, so you should be able to verify it. You should be able to right, there's the answer is there. There is for motor vehicle accidents, the damages that happen to money in transit. And සමහර ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා ඇති අර ATMs වලට එම නේද cash fill කරන්න අරගෙන යනවා. නැත්තම් branch වල outlets වල තියෙන සල්ලි ඔක්කොම head office එකට අරගෙන යනවා. The risk of not receiving money from a debtor. Yes. දැන් ඔයා කෙනෙක්ට credit sale එකක් කරොත් ඔයාලා හරියටම කියන්න බෑ ඒකේ the money that you received or not, right? That's a risk. So that is something that you can get an insurance policy. Now you can transfer the risk to an insurer. These are like examples for this insurable risk. So let's try to evaluate the facts when it comes to those examples. මේක එනම් focus කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? දැන් සල්ලි වෙන තැනකින් තවත් තැනකින් ගියොත් focus ටිකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? මේක අර movies තියෙන සල්ලි හොරගම් කරනවා. right? Something like this. So forecast. ඊට පස්සේ certainty එක, right? Forecast කරන්න පුළුවන් හැබැයි හරියටම කියන්න බෑ certain. Right? So there's two difference. දැන් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම මේ සල්ලි යද්දි හොරකම් කරයි කියලා කියන්න බෑ. හැබැයි we can forecast it but not certain. Right? It should not be certain කියන එක fulfill වෙනවා. It should be of no connection. It should be verifiable. අනිවාර්යෙන්. මේක උනේ කොහොමද කවදද? So we can do an investigation. ඒ වගේම that you can measure in terms of financially. අනිවාර්යෙන් දන්නනේ සල්ලි කීයක් අරගෙන ගියාද කොච්චරක් හොරකම් කරාද. So then you can claim that amount, right? So always it should fulfill the features or the characteristics when it comes to the insurable risk. Right. So then we'll write some examples for the non-insurable risk as well. So then I will giving you a list of risks. So then you should be able to, right, correctly identify whether it's belong to the insurable or non-insurable. Right, yes, I will give you another 1 minute for this. Then shall we write a couple of examples for the non-insurable side as well. The characteristics remain at the opposite side. You can non-insurable characteristics with the opposite. Certain, not certain. I think certain. Can be forecast, cannot be forecast. Right? So remember that's just the opposite of the characteristics which belong to the insurable risk. Characteristics. Right, now here are the examples. Shall we write examples in the non-insurable side? Right, so let me share some examples of non-insurable risk. Right, in our insurance back. Business experience losses. Yes, loss insurance policy insurance policy. The risk from natural reasons, depreciation, expire in the pula, right? Something like vaporization. What do you mean by that? Right? Something due to natural reason. Depreciate natural reason. None of us can avoid that risk. Right? The risk decided by one's stability. Failure in exam, loss of love, right? So, so when you're not receiving the love from your partner, something like it's something your the ability and strength. Your partner risk or return somehow. In order to insurance policy bad, right? The partner insurance policy right, to cover up the okay, so cover up the expenses that you have to incur, right? So you cannot take like that. Yes. The risk caused by change in design, change in technology, ඒතර එතන ඔයාලට risk එකක් තියෙනවා. So risk caused by the change in design, technology, right? Technology. දැන් තවත් example එකක් ඔය lotteries වගේ නේද comes under non insurable. දැන් ඔයා lottery එකක් ගන්නවා. ඔයා insurance එකක් ගන්න මට මේක ඇදුනේ නැති වුණොත් right? මට උනේ insurance cover එකක්. එහෙනම් හැමෝම එහෙම කරා right? අපි ගොඩ gambling lotteries වගේ right? මේ ඔක්කොම non insurable risk. right? ඔයාට පුළුවන් gambling ගිහිල්ලා හරි. මට මේක ආවේ නැතුනොත් so there's a coverage, right? It's not right? It's not something decided by your strength, luck, right? Your abilities. Failure in exam, failure in a match, right? මොනාරි වගේ sports event එකක් වුණත් ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මොනාරි ඔලිම්පික් යන කෙනෙක් කියනවා මට ඔලිම්පික් මෙඩල් එකක් ගන්න බැරි වුණොත් මට උනේ coverage එකක්. Bad, right? It's decided by his own ability and strength. දැන් අපේ නේද ක්‍රිකට් ටීම් එක කියන්නේ the world cup එක. ඒකට ක්‍රිකට් ටීම් එකට පුළුවන් insurance policy එකක් ගන්න. qualify උනේ නැත්තම් නේද? So they are going for qualified matches. Qualify උනේ නැත්තම් මෙන්න insurance policy එකක් තියෙනවා. So you cannot take insurance like this. එහෙනම් risk කිව්වට හැම risk එකක්ම ඔයාලට transfer කරන්න බෑ. Remember that. That's the core idea behind those concept. Right. Guys, I will take a couple of examples so that you can correctly identify whether it's belong to insurable or non-insurable. I hope you are done with writing this one. And if you're still writing, again, I'm telling you, please let me know. Right, guys. Now, what do you think about this set of things? So thieves having got into the house and taking the jewelry is obviously something that you can take the risk, right? So it is an insurable risk, right? Insurable risk. Or දන්නේ නැහැ මේක cannot හැබැයි you can be forecast, right? Automatic forecast කරන්න පුළුවන් මෙහෙම දෙයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි it's not certain. And also you can measure in terms of financial because there's a market value for those jewelries, right? You can say that. And there's a verifiability. The order CCTV pen something like this. Failing of a student in the GC exam, no, right? So it's something that's non-insurable. The personal capacity strength decide when a motor vehicle belongs to you facing an accident. Yes, obviously it's a insurable risk. Insurable risk. Not receiving the money from a debtor, yes, that we discussed. Again, it's a insurable risk. Not winning chance for the tickets that you bought, something like gambling, something like lottery. There would not be any insurable risk in America. No insurable risk, non-insurable risk, right? So you cannot take that risk, right? So that's something you need to think about, right? Especially that make an example like once you just carefully read the example, so you'll be started thinking of the characteristics, so that you can come up with a conclusion saying, okay, this is something you can take. So sharing another set of things, guys, another set of I hope you can see that. Yes, the demolition of your house by an attack of wild elephants. Yes, obviously, that risk that you can insure, right? So it's insurable risk. It's not be certain because you are when your house is located in such a location. Yes, you can forecast it. මේ වගේ දෙයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? බල්ලාලිය ඉන්නවනම් ඒ ප්‍රදේශය තුල risk එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා දන්නවා. Right? හැබැයි ඒක certain නැහැ, but you know it for sure, right? So I think make a verifiable කරන්න පුළුවන්, right? කවදාද කොහමද ඒගොල්ලෝ ආවේ කියන එක. අනිත් එක the financial measurabilities there කොච්චර damage එකක් වුණාද ගෙදරට කියන එක. The gaining loss, guys, gaining a loss from the business in the upcoming year, it's not insurable. Or the loss every business will take an insurance policy like that. And expiring the company of the business, you go technological design technology which is you cannot take, right? So that is something belongs to the non-insurable risk, right? So I hope guys you clear with those two concepts, right? So coming to the final part of today's session, the importance of insurance, right? Important. හරි දැන් අපේ checklist එක බලමු නේද? Day plan එකේ මොනවද cover කරේ? හරි what is risk කතා කරා? What you can do for the risk? You can trust, you can mitigate, you can reduce those things. The concept of insurance. Now you know well about those two concepts, the insurable and non-insurable risk. So then it's time for us to discuss the importance of insurance. දැනටමත් ඔයා දන්නවා importance එක. මේකත් අපි cover කරා insurance කියන එක. So this part I'll take next day, guys. මොකක්ද මේ insurance proposal එක, insurance agreement and the the insurable the deed කියලා අපි කියනවා රක්ෂණ policy එකක් නේ, the insurance policy. Right, so let's discuss importance of insurance. Important. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම වැදගත්කමක් තියෙන නිසා නේද මෙච්චර ඔයාලා මේක lesson එකක් විදිහට ඔයාගේ grade 12 syllabus එකේ ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒත් එක මම this is one of a most profitable industry in the world. ලෝකෙ තියෙන හොඳ profitable industry එකක් තමයි insurance කියලා කියන්නේ. හරි. මොකක්ද ගන්න first එක? First, I would say something like to boost or increase the investor confidence. Investor confidence, right? The example like that when you are about to invest in a shipping company, shipping line එකක් නැත්නම් cruise line එකක්. හැබැයි ඔයා දන්නවා risk එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. But from the other point of view, you know that for that you can take an insurance policy. එහෙනම් risk එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අනිත් පැත්තෙන් දාන්න yes, so let's say so then investor confidence increases. නේද? හරි මම මේක ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ මට අනිත් පැත්තේ එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. Now something like real estate, the real estate මොනවාරි properties කරොත් stress fire වෙන්න පුළුවන්, theft එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. But still yes, you can take the insurance. එහෙනම් මේක kind of a relief for the owner's point of view. නැත්නම් owner, shareholder, නැත්නම් investor confidence කෙනෙක් කියන්න පුළුවන්. Right. අනිත් එක this motivate the businessman. නැත්නම් හැමෝම කියයි there's a risk නේද? I'm not doing a business. නේද? මගේ warehouse එක ගිනි ගන්න පුළුවන්, warehouse එකට තොරු පානින්න පුළුවන්. Right. මගේ expire වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මේ ඔක්කොම වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙනම් හැමෝම හිතුවොත් හරි there's a risk, there's a risk, I will not do any businesses. එහෙනම් the growth of the business, right? Growth එහෙම නැත්නම් motivation, kind of a motivation to the business. අර පොඩි confidence එකක් තියෙනවා buy වෙන්න එපා නේ insurance policy එකක් තියෙනවා කියන එක. Something like the money in transit, goods in transit, right? මේ ඔක්කොම insurance policy එකක් තියෙනවා. Above all, I would say insurance in terms of අපිට මෙහෙමයි දැන් insurance important කිව්වට පස්සේ අපිට three parties whether discuss කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. Now the importance of insurance to the organization, to the society, මෙන්න මේ විදිහට බෙදන්නත් පුළුවන්. Now example is that ඔයාලට මතකයි මෙතන අපි discuss කරා everyone will contribute a premium. නේද? හැමෝම මෙහෙම premium එකක් pay කරලා මේගොල්ලන් ලොකු fund එකක් හැදලා නේද? මේ විදිහට දැන් අපි හිතමු දැන් life insurance policy එකක් දැන් ලංකාවේ අපි ගමු නේ Sri Lankan insurance one of the top companies Soflogic, Selinco මේ ඔක්කොම ගත්තොත් මේගොල්ලන්ගේ the amount of fund මේ fund එකට මොනවද කරන්නේ මේගොල්ලෝ so they create the investment portfolio, right? එහෙනම් මෙන්න මේ තියෙන investment fund එක නැත්නම් අපි කියවල් insurance fund එක හැමෝම collect කරන the company A, company B, company C. Likewise, all their customers, all their insured parties, right? So we'll make the contributions, what you known as the premium. So then there will be huge fund. And the fund taking hamadama navigate net, hamadama car accident net. Arena monada karana pulang, they invest, they reinvest this part, especially in the life insurance, you have to pay. The benefits returns once the policy got matured. Up again, policy got even now. Let's say you are 20 years old and you are trying to get an insurance policy for like 25 years. So once you become 45, you'll be able to get it back, but with not just the premium that you paid, along with the return as well, right? So, for example, they do invest in the share market. They do invest in the real estate. Right, real estate invest rental properties, they purchase lands, so invest in the businesses and also the government, the market, right? The treasury bills, treasury bonds, government securities, the Rajatina investors, investment opportunities. So likewise, you can see, it's a source of investment to the society or the economy as well. You contribute the premiums and those the huge fund they'll be investing and they will make an income invest especially share market real estate, so they do invest it. So it's one of a factor to grow the economy, right? And the insurance companies that's something good for the economies, right? So that's something we can take. Apart from that, the continuity of the business, itan insurance policy එකක් නැත්නම් මොනාරි fire එකක් වුණොත් එතනින් පස්සේ නේද all your capital that you invested, so there's no help that you can come back, right? ඔයාගේ මුළු warehouse එකම fire එකක් වෙනවා ගිනි ගන්න. එතන ආපහු මුලින්ම start කරන්න සමහරට එනවා ඔයාලා මුළු business එකම අතර කරන්න වෙනවා, right? So when something went wrong, there's always systems, so there's someone is there to assist you, right? To raise the gate. So that is something we can highlight. එහෙනම් මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයකට ඔයාලා නැවත අපි කියන අර නේද නැගී සිටින්න අත දෙනවා කියලා අන්න ඒ වගේ වැඩක් තමයි මෙතන තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් you won't be in such a position, right, to come back to the business world. So those are the I would say the importance of insurance, especially when it comes to the organization and the society at large. Correct? And also that at the point again, the saying about the it's one of the business support services. Right. Shall we write a subtopic? The importance of insurance. So then we write this note and then we can wrap up today's session. So if I show you the tune, it's there. You have this set of thing. Insurance, the importance of insurance. Where I shall write this subtopic, the importance of insurance. Rakshane තියෙන verb එකක් තමයි මොකක්ද? Shall we write our first the first point? This is the first point. Investors are motivated to start businesses since the risk of the business are covered by the insurance company. And that insurer, insurance company. And as you know, the second party, they call the second party insurer. Risk right? There are a set of things, right? They can accept. The first point, investors are motivated. Investor confidence increases. Right, shall we write our second point as well? I hope you are done with writing the first point. Remember the fact, insurance are motivated, so they increase the confidence. Why? There's an insurance company, so who's there to take that risk on behalf of you? So the receiving the protection in terms of the money when disabled or dead, that is guys applicable to the life insurance policies. අපි කතා කරන ඉස්සරහට types of insurance, general insurance, life insurance, and the capital development මම කර ප්‍රාග්ධන වර්ධනයක්, right? So investment opportunities. Why? There's huge fund. මේ fund එක අනිවාර්යෙන්ම invest කරන්න වෙනවා to provide a better return to the insured. So they invest in a lot of investment opportunities. And the international trade, yes, we cannot forget about the international trade. The marine insurance, it's a one of the big industry. World trade they got dependent on the insurance, right? Because there's a huge risk involved when it comes to the international trade. එතන loss එකක් වැඩි, right? එතන loss එකක් වැඩි. මොකද කාර් එකක් ගිහලා accident වෙනවා වගේ නෙමෙයි, නැවක් ගිලනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. So a lot of stakeholders are there involved with that business, right, guys? So there's a huge risk involved, and the loss is high. So where you need to definitely have some sort of a person or an organization who takes that risk. That is why the pool of risk, that is why the huge fund created could be used to cover up those losses. That is actually the origin of the insurance as well. රක්ෂණය කියන එක පටන් ගත්තේ ඇත්තටම life insurance වලින් නෙමෙයි. මෙන්න මේ marine insurance නැත්නම් general insurance කියන එකේ නැව් රක්ෂණය. right? එතන තමයි insurance වල origin එක තියෙන්නේ. Right, guys. So I hope you are done with the writing. So when I come back, give me 1 second to come back to the board. So I'll be sharing back again. Right. So with that, that's the content that we planned. We discussed the importance of insurance as well. So the rest of the things I'll take up to the next week, guys. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you on next Wednesday with the rest of the session. Screen English, you can take this if you could not complete that part, right? So thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you next week, right? So you can leave once you completed this part.